Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk Tri-State with Tiny and Katie.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Tri-State, all powered by HomeRight Windows and Doors in Waynesboro. Winner in the 2024 Best of the Tri-State Awards, The Right Choice. Our guest now is from the South Central Community Action Programs Incorporated. Megan Shreve, you're the CEO. Thank you for being here.
I am. Thank you so much for having us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. We're so glad that you decided to join us. Your website is sccap.org. What do you say for short?
We call it SCAP.
SCAP.
Yes.
Perfect. You know what? I'm going to write that down because I was wondering exactly what you said, and that makes it much easier.
It's a mouthful to say the whole name. Yeah.
It is. So tell us about SCAP. What is it? Did it originate with you?
It did not. We actually turned 60 years old this year.
Wow.
So we've been around for a long time. We were started as part of the War on Poverty, and we are one of 1,000 community action agencies across the United States. Every community has a community action agency, and SCAP represents Adams and Franklin counties.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, Franklin, Adams counties, how many folks would you say, not that statistically you would know need assistance, but how many folks would you say you actually assist?
Yeah, about 10% of the population come through our doors. So we serve between 17 and 22,000 people.
And how many locations do you have?
So we have main offices in Gettysburg and Chambersburg. We also have, our WIC office has an office in Waynesboro. We have one in Hanover. And then some of our services we go out. So we run a weatherization program, and that goes out to people's homes. And we work in Adams, Cumberland, Dauphin, Franklin, and York counties for that program.
Incredible, incredible. It's a wide reach. And I don't think a lot of people realize the condensed nature of our population. Yeah. It is, the 81 corridor is been booming, is booming, and has this population just explosion really around this area, and it's very, very concentrated in a per capita way for our population. So we're very glad that you're here and doing what I consider to be wonderful work, and I'm sure you do as well. Basically what I have here in my notes, that you provide services such as homeless shelters, food pantries, gleaning, WIC, weatherization. You brought up some of these, Franklin Together, person-centered coaching, and so much more. So let's take that, let's do that one by one and hit some high points if we could. So let's start with I think what everyone would be at least familiar with on its face is homeless shelters. So take us through how that plays into SCAP.
Sure. So at SCAP, we try and serve a wide-ranging amount of programs, because what we're really trying to do is put those programs together for the best outcome for the individual. So our goal is long-term stability for the people we're working with.
Right.
And so homeless shelters, people are at their most fragile when they come to a shelter. They typically have stayed with friends and family and are pretty hopeless. And so our shelter in Franklin County is in downtown Chambersburg. It's on Main Street. We have a family shelter in Adams County. But what we do is when folks come in, we try and identify what are the barriers that caused their homelessness. How can we support them in getting to long-term housing stability? And so we'll help them if they need to find employment. If they need other resources, we'll support those. We help them connect with other SCAP programs along with other communities programs and resources so that they can have long-term stability. And then we start looking for housing. So we'll help them find housing, and then really if they need ongoing case management or they want to stay involved with programs, we'll provide that to them until they're stable.
I saw a video on your website that was someone was doing a walking tour in Gettysburg, and the first place that they went, you were there. Was that one of the homeless shelters? Because I remember you saying these are 7 bedrooms, I believe, or something to that effect. So that's how many of those types of facilities exist? So
we have 2. So we have one in Gettysburg that predominantly serves families. That's kind of what the need has been over there. And then our shelter in Franklin County serves families and serves single adults. Okay. But in both cases, we have rooms. So it's not a dorm. You really have a room so you can, feel safe. And if you have a family, then it's a family room so we can keep everybody together.
That's very nice. And so that's homeless shelters. How about food pantries? It's almost like the order that these are listed are the familiarity people have, at least what we've heard about. I can't wait to get the ones that I have not heard about.
Right.
But let's just, quickly run over food pantries.
Yeah, so food pantries, you're right. When people think of poverty, they think of these kind of programs, homeless shelters, food pantries. And they're important, right? They meet basic needs. If you can't have your basic needs met, it's hard to think about your future.
Well, we think food, shelter.
Yes,
It's the first two
that's
things that most
exactly
people
right.
say, food and shelter.
That's exactly right. And so food pantries, we have a pantry both in Gettysburg and in Chambersburg, but we also partner with local food pantries across the county. So we partner with the Presbyterian Church in Greencastle. We have a church in St. Thomas in Fayetteville. Those are our partner pantries. And so we coordinate the state food program, which receives some funding from the state to support food. It's about $7 per month per family, so not a lot of money. But families can come and get emergency food. So, they can come typically once a month to be able to get their basic needs met. And we found that just wasn't enough. I mean, we know the cost today for food, and we're seeing more families with children and more seniors across our programs just because the economy is so tough. And so as we were looking at the barriers that exist for families in moving out of poverty, we found they lost access to food resources. And so someone in the Adams County community started the program Gleaning, which is one of the programs on the list.
That's the next one.
It's our,
right, sure.
another food resource. And Gleaning is amazing because what it does is it goes out after the harvest, and the food that's remaining, we harvest it and we bring it back, and then we distribute it all across the county to food insecure folks. And when Jerry Altoff, who started that in Adams County, couldn't run it any longer, he gifted it to SCAP, and so we've been running it for about almost 10 years now. And it's an amazing program. Last year, we were able, between Adams and Franklin County, to distribute more than 1 million pounds of produce that would have gone to waste. It would have rotted. And you can get it into the hands of folks. It's healthy foods that both, help someone not be hungry, but it also feeds their, keeps them nutritionally sound, helps them with any of their healthcare needs. So it's really, really beneficial. And that combination, our pantries, which provide kind of shelf-stable items and dairy items and meats, and then our produce, that really makes it well-rounded. And the Gleaning, what's great about that, especially during the growing season, is people can come more than once. So you can come to the produce stand in Chambersburg, we distribute to partners on a regular basis to help fill that need. When
someone perhaps may want to take advantage of that program, the Gleaning, which has a great name for that, it so applies, obviously. What's the process for walking up to the produce stand?
Yeah, the produce stand in our Chambersburg office, you can just come. So there's no paperwork you have to fill out. What we ask is that you only take as much as you need, because we want it to be available to folks. For food pantries, really you're signing a self-declaration of need, saying that you need the food from a food pantry, and that paperwork is just required because it receives some state funding. But there's no, unlike many social service programs, they're not, you don't have to bring your income statement.
Or a waiting period,
yes, exactly.
Things like that. When you're hungry, you're hungry.
That's right, just come get food.
And that's something I think that thankfully a majority of us cannot empathize with. We cannot, we can't sympathize with. I can't say that I've, ever wondered where and when my next meal was going to be. Food security is what it's mainly called now. And just imagining that is heartbreaking, and knowing that a person, I just had a couple wonderful ladies from the United Ways of Franklin and Washington County in the other day, and we said, when someone becomes unemployed and they need assistance financially or in whatever capacity, the bill collectors, the landlord does not
Nothing
does not
stops.
wait.
That's right.
That 15th of the month or 31st or 1st of the month, it's going to come no matter what.
That's
and
right.
Money needs to change hands.
That's right.
So with this, like you said, with the Gleaning, it's such a beautiful thing that it's right there. It's not really, I'll say no questions asked, but it's just very low pressure.
Food.
Let me ask you this. We're talking with Megan Shreve. She is the CEO of SCAP, South Central Community Action Program Incorporated. What do you find, how do I word this, is the reason that most people find themselves in a situation needing SCAP services?
So that's going to depend a little bit on the program, but I would say by far, most of the people that we serve are working. If they're not working, it's typically folks who have worked in Adams or Franklin County their whole life and are living on just Social Security. So the costs today are just so high that it's really difficult for someone who is working a low-wage job, maybe in the service industry, maybe in agriculture, hospitality, any of those, to earn enough to pay for their cost of living. We've seen since 2020, rent has gone up by between 28 and 38%, depending on the size of apartment that you have. mean, that's so high.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we're seeing more seniors in our homeless shelters and our food pantries because their Social Security is not covering their cost of living. You know, they're sometimes spending 80% of their income just on housing costs.
Right.
Like, what do you do?
Well, and these people were, you know, they were sold a bill of goods
Yeah.
that this would be, you know, I think a lot of people, Social Security was obviously just, you know, meant to be a help, and a lot of people have, you know, they rely on that as almost like the retirement.
Right.
And it's just, it's not going to,
it's not
to
enough.
do that. Right. And it's not,
Right.
it's not anyone's fault.
No,
It's-
right.
There's no blame
Right.
being shuffled around here.
Right.
I'm just saying that it's, to your point, it is not enough
That's right.
to sustain the average person.
That's
You know, my father gets his Social Security, and it's certainly not nearly enough for
Right.
him. I don't, that man, you really learn, he's told me, I haven't had to learn this, but you really learn where to spend your money as wisely as you possibly
When you-
can. Stretch the dollar, make it go as far
right.
as it goes. And I remember he had applied or received some SNAP benefits. And when he told me how much, it was like $16 a month.
Exactly.
And he
exactly.
said that he makes $20 too much per year. $20 is
It's
apparently
crazy.
there's this delineation.
Yeah.
And I get that there has to be some type of marker. And no matter where you place that marker, someone's going to fall on either side of it. I understand that. No one is, you know, being singled out, so to speak. But it kind of describes what
Yeah.
folks are going through and how it is so easy to, it's, you know, paycheck to paycheck. It's deciding between house or food.
That's right.
It's a decision
right.
where, you know, we're talking about folks that sadly, you know, they're, like you said, back and forth to work, and they can't make that decision like most of us are blessed to be able to make and say, well, I don't feel like making dinner, so I'm going to stop at Chick-fil-A.
Right.
You know,
right.
that's not
right.
even on the radar
Right,
as a
exactly.
possibility.
Yep.
So let's, as we're wrapping up here, let's Megan, talk about Franklin Together. I'm assuming it means Franklin County.
It is, and
Okay.
it really, it's the Reentry Coalition. So it's working, it's pulling together groups who want to see folks who have been involved in the the criminal justice system, be able to come out of the criminal justice system and stay out.
Yep.
So it's a wonderful program. We have a coalition that meets, and then there are lots of groups that are coming together to help folks really reacclimate, to get employed, to find housing. All of those things, those barriers, are more difficult if you have a criminal record. Just
Yeah.
like if you have mental health issues, or if your language isn't English, all of those barriers become much more difficult. And so Franklin Together has been great about helping people get out of prison, stay out of prison, looking for solutions that can make that easier for them, identifying who are those second chance employers, who are second chance landlords, so that we can help them stay out, which is better for all of us.
Sure.
In all of these cases, what's great about the work that we're doing is if you can get a family stabilized, if you can get someone out of the criminal justice system and stable, it's better for everybody.
It is.
So that it's an investment. Sometimes people see the work that we do as a cost, but it's really an investment.
Mm-hmm.
And we see time and again, when people can get stable, when they can have hope for a better future, have someone to support them just in the way that they need so they can stabilize, their life is better, and consequently our lives are better.
It's the I need a hand up, not a hand
That's
out.
right. That's exactly right.
And when you bring up, and I didn't know this, so I'm so glad that the Franklin Together program, I'm glad we're ending with that, is I would hate for anyone to be judged by their worst moment.
That's right.
And there's that, you're right, there is that stigma with that employers have, where it's like, oh, I'm sorry, and I understand there are some cases where you just can't.
Right.
Laws, rules, things like that, they exist for a reason. I understand, but you have people who want to go to work.
That's right.
They want to become better members of society.
That's right.
They have, as far as I'm concerned, when someone serves their sentence, whatever that may be,
That's right.
they're square with the house when they walk out.
Right.
They've done what they were supposed to do.
That's right.
And who am I to place a judgment on them for anything that they've done moving forward? I'm not even to place judgment on them. That's done. That's signed, sealed, delivered.
Right.
That's over.
Right.
And the problem is, to your point that you just went over a few minutes ago, is if they are constantly turned down,
Yeah.
what life do we think they're going to
That's
revert
right.
to?
What options exist?
Right.
Yeah. And so creating an environment that welcomes someone and then helps them, create whatever that path is just really, those things are gifts.
Yes.
When you think about these programs and the difference they make for families, even our weatherization program that allows a senior to be able to age in place, to have a house that's warm, costing less to heat and cool. So it's thinking strategically about how do you design programming that really leads to the best outcome for our friends and neighbors.
Yes, and they are our friends and neighbors.
Yes, they are.
We've been talking with Megan Shreve. She is the CEO of SCAP, the South Central Community Action Programs Incorporated. Megan, before I let you go, and by the way, the website is sccap.org. Is there anything that we didn't hit on that you wanted to make sure that we did say before I let you get out of here?
The only thing that I would add is we do have a program called person-centered coaching. So if someone really, they want their family to be stable, they're not sure how to make that happen, they can call us and set up some time with a coach, and we'll work with them on the goals that they have.
That's
wonderful. So they can help you navigate the other systems, the other programs that exist. But thank you.
Yeah, of course. And we're so thankful that you're here. We would love to have you back. Do you take donations? Is that something?
We do, certainly. Okay. We have opportunities for volunteering, and we have donations. You can find out more about those on our website. And that website is sccap.org. Megan Shreve, thank you so much for joining us on Let's Talk Tri-State. Love to have you back. Thank you so much. Have a great day. You as well. More coming up in just a few minutes on Let's Talk Tri-State. Let's Talk Tri-State.
If you'd like to be featured on an upcoming episode of Let's Talk Tri-State, call 717-597-9200 or email letstalk@921thegoat.com.